Hello, my name is Alex and today we are going to talk about Bitcoin halving. Why halving is important and what halving actually is, and what are the consequences of the halving for your financial future. If you watch this video until the end, you will see what happened after other halvings. There were 2 of them so far. Also, I will briefly show you the projection for the next 10 years for Bitcoin. And in the end, I will share my personal crypto discovery of this year. It's another Ethereum, but it's Ethereum on steroids. This is Fine Finance with Alex. Being a programmer myself and as a person who is involved in everything that's related to finance and personal wealth and money, digital money happens to be one of the subjects I want to talk about. Bitcoin is usually a controversial subject which leaves everybody involved. You either like Bitcoin and you praise it to everybody you know, or you hate it because you think it's a scam. So what is it really, and how what's happening on May 11th, 2020 will or can change your financial situation? I know, for example, Peter Thiel, who is one of the original owner of PayPal, and he is heavily invested in what is related to cryptocurrencies. He personally owns Bitcoin, and for a reason he has a lot of money put in it. And this is the person, is one of the persons who could invest in any other fast-growing company. Remember this date, May 11th, 2020. Around that date, Bitcoin halving should happen. Now, if you're one of those people who thinks that Bitcoin is the future, you definitely need to see this video. If you're from another side who thinks that Bitcoin is a scam, well, don't forget about all those people who became quite rich, because if you invest in Bitcoin around $1 when it just started to trade on some kind of exchanges, today you would have around $34 million. So from the history as well, it's interesting to see how those boosts happen. It is because, we start talking about Bitcoin and at some point something happens, like a crisis 2020, for example, when everybody stays at home and we are not using cash anymore. Just saying. But at some point there is a trigger which happens that we are talking about cryptocurrency again. And it's happened for 3 or 4 times during last 10 years. And each time you see huge boost, about 10 to 100 times. For example, last rally was from $200 for 1 Bitcoin, and it ended up almost 20,000, which is 100x increase. Now let's take a look closer at Bitcoin halving's history. So we see that the first halving, which was around 2013, and the year before in 2012, we had Bitcoin at around $2 per Bitcoin, which is insane because 2 years later was already $1,200 at its peak, and the average daily price at that time was a maximum at $900. It was a 450 times increase. Second halving, which happened in around 2016, and you probably remember 2017, there was a year of boom of Bitcoin and all altcoins and crypto in general, where Bitcoin in span of 2 years, around second halving, it went from $160 from the very bottom up until $20,000. And now we are around third halving. We already experienced Bitcoin at $2,500 last year. So in 2020, when the third halving just happened, we expect the next rally, which will be around the next year or 2. And the price target here is $100,000. But be careful, after that, in around 2 years after that, it will fall to around $20,000, which is previous all-time high. Well, talking about possible gains here, please don't rush, don't invest all you have, never borrow for this one. I do recommend you to be very careful with your finances, especially if you don't know how cryptocurrency works. There is no ETF today that holds different cryptocurrencies, although there were a lot of attempts from the biggest companies like Banked, who owns Nasdaq and 17 stock exchanges around the world. They wanted to create this Bitcoin ETF, and as far as I know, so far none of those were sanctioned. So this makes me think that once Bitcoin ETF do exist, or any other ETFs for cryptocurrencies, this will have another huge boost, because partially some money of Roth IRA or any other registered account for retirement will be invested in there, and this is a huge growth, if that happens one day, of course. But anyway, it's up to you to decide whether you want or not to take this risk. If you find useful at least one idea in this video, please click like. This will help me a lot, and this will help this channel to continue to grow. Now, I do understand that you could have a lot of questions about where to buy, how to buy, and all these kind of questions. Just write me in the comments down below. I will reply fast. Please check the description down below also. I will put the links for those who want to invest in cryptocurrencies. Now, of course, it's up to you. Why do you even invest in crypto? Or if you think that it's more a gamble, you'll probably ask me whether you own yourself Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency or crypto assets. Yes, I do. I believe in so, simply because I think the risk-reward ratio is really interesting. What is halving actually? It's simply a fact of splitting the reward of the miner by half. Basically, for each block that miner validates, this miner receives a reward, and this incentive reward is actually scheduled inside of the logic. It's in the protocol of Bitcoin itself, because it's deflationary currency. And this logic cannot be reverted or changed. It is like it is. So that's what halving is. Halving is simply the fact that we're splitting the reward of a miner by 2. What is your opinion about price of Bitcoin in next year or so? Please write me in the comments down below. I'm really interested. Talking about risk rewards, if you're looking 2017, when a lot of this what's called alternative coins or altcoins emerged, in 2017, Litecoin, for example, was around $2. In the end of 2017, it was already around $336, was all-time high. Different altcoins are still present on the market. They're just much difficult to invest in. Bitcoin has no entity really who owns it. Other altcoins, you cannot be so sure that they are not owned by any entity. There is a lot of scams. In fact, more than 85% of all altcoins in 2017 died. They were scam originally. They were intended to be scam at their inception. So you have to be careful when investing any cryptocurrency. And if you think that cryptocurrency is just Bitcoin, you are wrong. There is a big movement happened in the last 3 years since 2017. That leaves me think that we're only around 1% of potential total value of Bitcoin. In fact, probably in 10 years from now, we will not see any of those alive. Even Bitcoin, we are not sure if after 2030 it will still exist, because of the problem of how it works and how transaction is validated. It uses something called proof of work, which is really intensive in energy. And today, to validate one transaction of Bitcoin is actually uses a lot of energy you cannot imagine. And still it works, and still there are a lot of investment around this area. So you have to be really careful when you invest in crypto. You need to invest only those money that you can lose. Also, one other important point to understand when you invest with cryptocurrency is that even if you did everything right and price went up a lot, you still need to be careful how you handle your digital money. If you don't have precautions about having good passwords and two-factor authentication or any other precautions in that matter, and never disclose your private key, which is basically a word to say a password, a long password which is encrypted, you should never show this private key to anybody. So investing in cryptocurrency, it's not only about price uncertainty in the future, it's also about security. Not all cryptocurrencies are the same, and generally people do not know anything else other than Bitcoin. They don't know probably even Litecoin, they don't know Monero or XRP, the system which is used today in a lot of transactions. For example, Western Union is heavily invested in XRP, which is Ripple, to use it as the foundation for its transactional system. JP Morgan is heavily invested. This is the starting point that Bitcoin brought to the world. There are a lot of scams again, but for good projects that will overcome in this cryptocurrency world, they will just blow up. They will experience the huge growth. I kind of still looking for last 3 or 4 years. You just, keep an eye on different projects and reading quite a lot about those. Here's the bonus. Tomo Chain. TOMO. I will not get into a lot of details here in this video, but just so you know, Tomo Chain is Ethereum on steroids. Again, it is really, really, really important that you do understand this. This whole thing with the cryptocurrency can be gone tomorrow, theoretically. The same way as any other computer system could be. But still, you have to invest only what you can lose. If you cannot afford to lose the amount of money, do not invest it. And if you like this video, or check out my other videos and hit subscribe here. I will have more videos coming every week. I'm trying to make videos on the subject only that could be interesting and bring you potential value. That is why click subscribe, and do not forget to click that bell button. So to summarize, Bitcoin third halving just happened, was May 11th, 2020. Normally after Bitcoin halving, you can expect the price to just boost a lot in the next year or so, probably 2 years. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to take this risk or not. But it's still interesting, what are the opportunities that exist today. Don't forget to see my other videos and subscribe to my channel. And that's it, bye.